Yo, what is going on, my fellow weebs? Chrono here, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be going over our expectations as well as predictions for the headline that is coming up in what I think a day now at the time of recording this video. It's a Monday morning for me at the moment, so yeah, it'll be up tomorrow in about 20. Can I math? Let's see, 27 hours roughly. So a very common thing with these headlines is tailoring your expectations, but what I found, a lot of people like to have this mindset of like, expect nothing, get everything. I think that's kind of boring. I'm totally fine with being realistic. However, it is still fun to like, try to guess or predict things ahead of time. I would always say be responsible with your own expectations. That way you're not hurting yourself, but don't down anyone else. Let everyone enjoy themselves, right? Even if you're not a part of the hype train, if there is a hype train, just let people have their fun. Now, part of me talking about this, I want to talk about things that we will likely see. I want to talk about the things that I want to see personally and what I think we need to see personally. So it's a combination of quite a few things all mixed together. And I think it's important to recognize these things, because if we don't give our feedback of what we want to see or what we should see, I feel like we never will see those things. So let's go ahead and jump over to the NGS site and take a look at what we have as far as information ahead of time, so we know what to expect. All right, so here we are on the NGS site. The roadmap, you guys can find it fairly easily if you just go to ngs.pso2.com, pop over to overview, you can click on roadmap. Very, very easy to find. We can see the entire roadmap they showed us for the end of this year. So July all the way to December, and we can see October, November, we've got a couple of things here. So we've got the Halloween 2023. We do have, so hold on. First off, so we have Halloween 2023. We got new high rank in Redum, dual quests, urgent quests, limited time quests, 4 of them total. Chapter 6, part 3, alliance bases, new build parts, and then sci-fi anime, and then sci-fi toy products. So a few things to kind of just toss out here to start with. The Halloween event looks like it's going to be the only event that we have. As far as expectations, when we expected a Halloween event, we'll see things like, of course, lobbies. We'll probably see a scratch ticket involved with it. That's pretty common to go with a Halloween event. So I would expect to see those things. I'm hoping the Halloween scratch is actually better than the previous years. We haven't had a really good Halloween scratch, at least for type 1. I want to say about a year, almost maybe 2. I can't remember the last good Halloween scratch that we had. The last good Halloween scratch that I was a part of was back in base game, at least for type 1. So fingers crossed we see something cool. More something cool, less something memey, but we'll have to see how it goes. High rank, our new high rank in Redum, that's pretty par for the course. I expected to see this. Not that I care too much about more high ranks in Redum, but I'm sure this is going to be a good place for people to farm things like Alnoth or money making, so it will have its place and it will be useful, but it's not really exciting or anything that we really, it's something that I'm not expecting, but nothing that I really am like super stoked about, right? Like, since I don't want to say PSU, they've been releasing new ranks of quests that have been out previously, like over new expansions. So this is pretty standard, something I expect. If you're kind of newer to the series, it may be something like, oh, well, they just added a new rank, so it's nothing really new. Usually this is a vehicle for delivering more updated drops, the ability to farm more consistently, so on and so forth. So this is pretty standard. And of course, usually newer titles and things like that. New urgent quest. I think the urgent quest is going to be interesting. So it's kind of tough, right? So we've got dual quest and we have urgent quest here. So we only see one silhouette in the background here. We can see one here, and we know this is Solus. So this was the ultra high standing party quest. But this here, maybe the urgent quest, maybe the dual quest. We don't really know. You can't tell off the rip which is going to be. Like, it's possible it could be the dual quest, but this is also a very large looking enemy, so it could also be the urgent quest. Honestly, it's up in the air at this point. I think it might be the urgent unless the dual quest, but we'll have to see. Limited time, there's 4 LTQs, and keep in mind this is over the course of 2 months, so this is October and November. So that tells me there's definitely gonna be an LTQ that goes along with October. What I think we might see, and this is a tough call, right? So we could see one of 2 situations happening. We can either see no LTQs really all that much in November, and these 4 LTQs being a part of the Halloween event in October, like mid-October going into late October, and spilling into November. They could just do one each month, or they could have 2 be a part of October and 2 be part of November, and they could stick around for 2 weeks apiece. That is also a possibility. Limited quests, as far as what we would need versus what we would want, I expect to see the urgent quest or the limited quest that was used last year brought back again. Pretty standard as far as seasonal limit quests tend to go. But what I would like to see is more like, it's kind of funny because it's mostly like a reskin, right? But like more seasonally topical enemies, right? Other than just the little mark on their head and the zone itself that they're in. I would love to see zones decorated a bit more intensely, so it looks a bit differently. Maybe even a change in music that's more topical for the season. I know a very common thing that happened back in PS or PSO2 and even in PSU in some cases was the soundtrack would change. I thought that was super cool. Granted, it's not something that you want to listen to all the time. Like, it got very irritating and annoying. Like, you imagine listening to Eggman or I Am the Eggman 1,000 times, or listening to Samba de Amigo over and over again. Yeah, these are things that were cool at first, they're kind of interesting, but then after a while it just kind of gets mind numbing. So, but I would like to see something like that change in there, and it would make things a little bit more interesting. I expect to see those limited time quests. I expect to see LTQs that like have been used beforehand and kind of rehashed. But I feel like in the mix we need something that's kind of a new and exciting LTQ, right? Something to add to the overall cycle of LTQs that we're going to be getting, and it needs to be something more Halloween related. So while I expect to see a few LTQs either like reskinned or remapped or some new enemies added in or something along those lines, I want to see something like heavily seasonally based, and then something that's kind of like just new and interesting. It could be together, right? Like it could be something heavily seasonal based that's also new and interesting, but like it'd be really cool to see kind of that mixed in. And honestly, I wouldn't be against that being the LTQ, like one LTQ across the entire event. Like if it was just that one LTQ, if it was new and interesting and fun to do, that's totally fine. Though I don't feel like that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be like, mixed up. So we'll have to see how that goes. Let's see. Other than that, we've got chapter 6, part 3. That might be November content. I don't know. Like part 2 was very small. Like it was just some like cutscenes mostly. It wasn't anything too intense. So I don't expect part 3 to be that big, but I guess, I mean, only time will tell, right? We'll have to see. I've had, story update. This is basically very similar to PSO2 base story updates back in the day, back on JP, where we would get like a few quests, and sometimes it'd have like one actual mission and then like a bunch of story stuff, or it'd be all story stuff and just some side missions. But we'll have to see how they decide to break it up. So this is kind of the second time they're doing it, and I'm actually fairly curious to see how they're going to start breaking this up moving forward. Alliance-based enhancements. I believe this is where we're going to see Kavara stuff pop in. Well, no. They announced red and motif-based terrain, so maybe Kavara stuff isn't until later. This might just be like some quality of life stuff that they announced beforehand, and some new build parts to mix in. Probably some returns of like old build parts from base PSO2 into the SG shop, so I'd say keep an eye out for that. Sci-fi anime and sci-fi toy products. I think it's going to be a mecha anime. I think realistically it's going to be mecha something or other. And that's why they're doing toy products as well, because that's exactly how you would do like not figurines, but gunpla and things like that. So I feel like it's definitely going to be a sci-fi or a mecha anime of some sort, but we'll have to see. Actually, wait, didn't they announce it? Dude, maybe I'm tripping. Hold on. Yeah, Mr. Streamer forgets things. It's Spriggan, right? Spriggan. They're going to show off Spriggan stuff. That's what's supposed to be coming. Okay, I mean, like, sort of, right? Like, I was sort of right. Whatever. For what it's worth, I only thought about that for about 30 seconds. It just made sense when I thought about sci-fi, or I saw toy products, but I digress. We can move on from there. Not a big deal. We do still have a chance in the action anime section for the next collaboration. And then we can pop over to, like, you guys already saw it. We pop over to the headline video and take a look. So it says this time we've got update info and videos, of course. You guys always have videos, so that's pretty normal. Showing what's ahead for PS2 New Genesis in October, including our collaborations with Spriggan Anime, plus info on another upcoming collab. Okay, well, they're going to probably talk about the next collaboration for December, I imagine. So I guess we can talk about what that's going to be. Action anime is way too broad. Like, at least with sci-fi anime, I could kind of think of something like a mecha anime would make sense, but action anime, like, my thoughts are action anime. I don't know, dude. Trigun, who knows? That could be about anything. There's a lot of action anime out there, so I can't really think of a specific genre or subset of anime that would make sense for an action anime. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious, what would you guys like to see as a collaboration? I've seen some pretty crazy collabs. We've had Monster Hunter collabs, Final Fantasy 14 collabs. We had a what was it, Elden? Wow, an Evangelion collaboration back in base PSO2 that added in a whole new urgent quest to the game. And you're probably thinking, that sounds awesome. They should do that again. Hated that urgent quest. It sucked. It forced you into AIS and you were stuck there for quite a long time. And people didn't know what they were doing. It took forever. I hated that place. But either way, I digress. What are you guys looking forward to? What do you think might show up? Let's see. So yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of information here. We know we're going to see October stuff. We know we're going to see the next collaboration. And that's really it. I think the biggest thing what we need is just not another catch-up month. I feel like a catch-up month will probably be November because there's not a lot that you could really split between these two. Like, a lot seems to make sense in October. But here's the problem though, is like we are currently in the autumn, the catch-up time, and we're just coming to a close with that one. And then from September to October makes sense to jump right back into like seasonal stuff because it's going to be Halloween. But I feel like it might be better to push that to the end of the month to have it spill into November and then have the other stuff start up now, right? Like things like the high rank Redum, the dual quest stuff, the urgent quest. I feel like that should probably be the first 2 weeks of updates. And then the third week be the Halloween stuff and the fourth week be Halloween. I feel like that would probably be the best way to space things out. That would be acceptable to the player base. What do you guys think? And that's pretty much it. Those are all my thoughts on what we are likely to see in the headline. I mentioned it's totally fine to have, to have your expectations low if you want to. I personally think it's kind of boring. I like having some expectations going into something. It's fun to speculate. It's fun to think about what we might see coming up. But also, like, if people want to ride a hype train, dude, let them ride it. You don't have to jump on board as well, but don't be a downer. No one likes that person. It's not fun. Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys today. Thanks for watching all the end. If you have any questions or any predictions on what you might see, feel free to toss in the comments below. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to keep up with more. And I'll see you all next time. Take care, everyone. Peace out.